Welcome to the latest session of quick tips for how to use QuickBooks Online. Today's question is, how do you print a check? Great question. Now in QuickBooks Online, we normally use what is called the voucher format for printing a check. This format was used by QuickBooks Desktop. It is used by QuickBooks Online. And it's a pre-printed format that usually has the check number pre-printed on it. It comes in three parts with little perforations. And so this is the part that the bank processes. This is the part that's torn off by your supplier, where you tell them what you're paying. And this third part you tear off and attach to the paperwork just to remind yourself that you have indeed paid this item. So let's see how we use this. Let's get started. So here we have the normal view of the desktop of QuickBooks Online. And so what we want to do is pick the option called New. And we want to pick the option called Check. Now this is what we call a manual check. We're not entering bill and paying it. No, we're doing everything in one step. That we call a forced check, instant check, whatever you want to call it. Most people refer to it as a manual check, even though we're not manually writing it out. Just means that we want to check. We want it now, we want it quick. We don't want two steps, we just want one step. Let's get this check done. So the next step we do is we pick a supplier. We're going to pick SaskTel. We know the checking account. We want to make sure there's money in the account. We see that there is. And so why are we paying the money? Well, probably it's to pay for our telephone. So we select the expense cost where it'll be allocated, a little description. We're paying the monthly bill. And we want to pay $200. Now this ledger is made up for this session. I haven't set up the sales taxes. If you have set up sales taxes in your ledger, it'll ask you, is there GST included in the 200? If it's included, then of course you would pick the GST code. If there's PST included, GST, PST included. But if you're just paying a flat payment on the account, $200, then of course you're going to be selecting exempt. So we are getting ready to print the check. Along the bottom here, we have a choice here, an option, printer preview. Let's select that. Let's print the check. Okay, it's looking ready. And so at this stage, we're simply going to take the check and we're now going to place it in our printer. And of course, I know my printer and I've written in black marker in the drawer. The top goes in one certain direction and this is face up. So I know that, so I won't waste checks. Just something you learn with a bit of experience with your own printer. And so now we're at the preview and print step. We'll select that. So we get to see the check we're about to print, so we don't waste it. It tells us we're going to pay SaskTel $200. And let's now select print. With the new Windows 10, they give you an extra special step to make sure you've got exactly what you want. So here's my printer. Here's what I'm going to print. And let's print it. You'll hear sounds rattling in the background because I put the check into the paper slot so that it's ready to be printed. And to protect the innocent, I printed it on the back, so that you can't tell who the check is printed for. But you can see that all the necessary information is there. And so you can tear off the bottom portion, attach it to your documents, and there you are. Voila, you have printed a check, and you did it very, very quickly. So at this stage, we can just X out of this little option. We can now close, and yes, it printed correctly. We are done. So there we are. Everything is in place. A little reminder that it did asks us for the check number. And so if you change check sequence that you're printing from, you just make that change there, no problem. And so we can X out of this. And how do we double check that what happened is what we thought happened? That's simple. We go to reports, go to the balance sheet, go to the checking account, and we may have to widen the date that we're looking at, date range, and we see, yes, indeed, a check has been printed. We had $25,000 in the bank. There's our $200 check. We're in good shape. So mission accomplished. So in just simple steps, what we did today was we just entered the option of new, then selected the option of check. We filled in the vendor information, we allocated the expense, we put in the amount, and we'll have to make a decision if there's taxes involved or not by using the drop-down choices available to us if we set up sales taxes in our ledger, and then we're ready to print. And then you place the form in your printer, and voila, you will have a printed check. And you can validate your work by going to reports, balance sheet, and select the bank account to make sure that the check has been recorded properly as you were wanting it to be done. So that's our session today. Quick and easy, how to print a check. Look forward to our next session.